Yeah, I think the way he talked was vastly different than other years. If you'll remember back in 2008, he was really busy buying up companies in the drop, and he was very, very out front about it. He said, we are jumping in there, and we're buying now. And what he said this time is, we haven't made any purchases. We haven't done anything because we don't see anything attractive to do.
Mm-hmm.
And he's holding on to his capital. He basically says he wants to make Berkshire like stay a Fort Knox.
Mm-hmm.
And the implication there is, I think, well, I shouldn't say it's scary, because essentially what he's saying is we don't know what's going to happen. And the range of possibilities of what could happen are enormous, which means that the range of possibilities includes what Ray Dalio thinks is going to happen, which is we're already in a depression. So I think Buffett is taking that into consideration and saying, you know what? If we're going to start putting capital to work, we can only do it when we're quite certain that Berkshire is solid. We've got $137 billion. We have to make sure that Berkshire is rock solid. It can't miss on any of its obligations. It's got to be able to deliver on all of its obligations, whatever those are. And for that reason, he's also not buying back Berkshire stock, even though it hit down below 170 briefly.
Yeah. So what happened is he showed the balance sheet for the first quarter, and it showed that they had sold off all of their airline stocks and not really bought anything of significance. And then he said, I don't have to show you this, and I normally wouldn't, but this year I'm going to. And he put up his April balance sheet, which showed that they hadn't really bought anything of any significance. And then he basically said, like, that's just kind of how it is. He didn't really explain it. He said, we want to make sure that we have enough capital, we have enough money to be Fort Knox, as you just said, to be ready for whatever happens. And we don't want to be dependent on the kindness of our friends, and we don't want to be dependent on the kindness of our enemies, and we really don't want to be dependent on the kindness of our friends. And basically he said that over and over the roughly like 4 hours of him talking, without really saying anything more than that, which I thought was rather frustrating. I would like him to just come out and say why he's conserving all of this money. It's because he thinks something really bad could happen. But he didn't actually come out and say that. He just kept saying, like, we want to be ready. We don't know what's going to happen. There's no way to know. Nobody knows. But we're going to be ready. And the reason...
then he spent a chunk of time on the economy's performance since 1789, right? With a focus on 1929 and 1951, which is a period of time that took the U.S. stock market well over 20 years to get back to where it was. Right? So that should be a clue, I think.
Yeah, it was this sort of juxtaposition of he spent the first 45 minutes giving like basically a U.S. economic history lesson and ended it with, that's why I believe in betting on America. I think anybody who bets on America is going to do fine. And then
22 years from now.
Well, he didn't say that part, but that was clearly
no,
the
but I'm adding that.
Yeah, that was
bet on America, put your money in an index fund, and 22 years from now, you'll break even.
That was clearly the implication, to stick with it. And
which is
from there, he went to the balance sheets where he said, we didn't find anything attractive to buy in March at the low of the market. He said people were starting to call him and Charlie. Right as the market got to that low around March 23rd, they were starting to get calls. And then he said that the second the Fed acted and put all that money out there to be available to companies, the calls dried up. And they got terms better than Berkshire would have given them from the government, from us, from the taxpayers. We gave them terms better than Berkshire would have given them.
So I'm really curious what you think about this. But what I got out of this, and I'm sort of naturally leaning toward being less confident about the ability of the economy to come roaring back. And
you're being less confident when last week you told me that it was probably going to be a depression and we were already in it.
Now I'm thinking, wow, it's more than probably. I'm thinking that the impact of all of this shutdown, for example, the impact on travel, he talked about it briefly, is that there's a huge domino effect that goes on with the economy and employment. And so fewer people traveling means fewer jobs in all sorts of industries.
True.
He also said that the energy and real estate and retail industries are all facing gigantic problems that are likely to reverberate all the way through the economic system and into the banking system, and in spite of the fact that the banks are in better shape than they've ever been in history, probably. And I think he added that this is a great time to borrow money.
Yeah.
Which
he
means
said
it might
Berkshire
not be
even borrowed money.
Yeah. Amazing. And yet that means the flip side is it's not a great time to lend it.
Right.
And if you're a banker, you probably already figured that out. Right? So, man alive, think about the industries that he highlighted there that are in a really bad, potentially in really bad trouble. Real estate, gigantic industry. All right. And think about it. You can borrow money, which is great for real estate, you'd think, except that people are going to be pulling back from buying stuff. And if you are expecting that it's a bad time to lend, what could that mean? Maybe it means it's interest rates are going to go up, in which case you don't want to lend long at a low interest rate. The retail industries, we all know what's going on with shopping centers everywhere. They're just virtually shut down and are trying to figure out a way to reopen. But are people going to congregate, right? I can tell you, I can answer that one. I can answer that one. Yes.
Yes, I agree with that. People are going to congregate.
we just sent Hunter's girlfriend, Alexis, down to pick up something at Lowe's that we needed. And she had to wait 2 hours in the parking lot for them to bring this thing out. And
it was like you order online and pick up.
Yeah, exactly. And they just were overloaded. The parking lot, she said, was packed. Okay. I mean, yeah, people are going to go to the shopping centers. There's no doubt in my mind. So I think that maybe the risk for retail shopping centers is a little overstated if you have the right stores in there. So there's something there maybe we could invest in. And then the energy industry is a train wreck, obviously. I mean, I don't know if you knew this, but the price of oil in the United States, in Texas, briefly hit minus $40 a barrel.
Yeah, minus 37, I think. Yeah.
Okay, minus 37. Fine. Meaning, come and get it and I'll pay you to take it away. And is currently hovering around 20. Which adjusted for inflation means we're at lows, historical lows.
Yeah, of course we are though. Like it's not just sort of like, oh my goodness. It's like we stopped using oil. So yeah.
Yeah, we stopped driving around.
Plus Saudi Arabia flooded the oil market at the same time. Like, yes, this is what happened.
That was brilliant, wasn't it?
It was like, I saw it coming 2 months out. Like, this is happening, and it's going to frankly not get better. Actually, I've been surprised that the prices bounce back so quickly, but it's not going to get better very quickly because we're not coming back to using the kind of oil that we used to use very quickly. But it will start to come back as people start flying and using offices and traveling again. So,
which brings us to the next question. Are people going to travel and fly and use offices again?
Some people will, for sure. For sure.
I'll buy that.
People are already still flying. I mean, I see pictures online of people on airplanes and they're packed.
Man. What?
The airplanes are packed.
Airplanes. You've seen airplanes that are packed full of people.
Yeah, because I think it's because they're running so few flights that, I don't know.
Man, I'll tell you, there's no way I'm getting on an airplane.
Well, me either, but we don't have to. Right, but if you were dying, I would get on an airplane, right? Like,
honey,
no, but you know what I mean.
I would tell you not to. I would say,
I'm not being sappy about it. I'm saying, like, there are situations in which you're like, all right, the benefit outweighs the price here. I'm going to get on that airplane, and lots of people are in those situations.
Well, I would tell you, I'm dying. I don't want you to come and get this. Stay home, and we'll Zoom right up until the last second.
Oh, that sounds great.
But look at there's another industry that's a gigantic industry that's in trouble, right?
Which one?
Okay, I'm astonished. The cruise lines, of course, would be the last place I would ever go, right?
Well, yeah.
And they're full. They're full for the fall. Apparently, no one thinks like me, and they're all just going to go get on a cruise ship together.
I know.
Okay.
I know. So I do struggle a bit with these sort of doomsday views that no one's going to go back to real life, because I think we've also seen it. Yes, not as widespread, but we've seen it like after SARS and after MERS. We saw that in Asia, they went back to normal life, but a lot of them wore masks, and it became normal in Asia to wear a mask around and wear it when you're traveling on an airplane. And people in the West, generally didn't do that. And if you do it, you get weird looks. And I think we're going to start to that's going to become more normal across the entire world. But people are still going to get on the airplane. They're just going to wear the mask. So
I think there's one thing about Berkshire that gives Buffett an insight that we should pay attention to for sure. And that's how broadly diversified they are and how many industries they're in deeply.
Yeah.
With some of the best people in those industries working directly for Buffett. So he gets to talk to them.
Yes,
like an
they have
insider
incredible
like you and I would never
data
be able to.
Across the economic spectrum, unbelievable view. And so here's why I think the stuff I'm saying and you're saying, like people are going to congregate, people are going to like go to the mall, people are going to go on cruise ships, people are going to. Yes, all of that I think is right, and that's why Buffett didn't come out and say, "Hey guys, we've got a huge problem here." But the question is, if the virus comes back in a major way and we don't have a treatment and we don't have a vaccine, then that's when all bets are off.
You guys, if you enjoyed this video and you feel it was valuable in teaching you more about how to invest, hit the like button and please share the video with your friends. And if you want more investing content, subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to click the button on the screen. We got a free gift for you. Thanks again for watching.